Last year, a lot of people started to ask me about the case of Tekashi 6ix9ine, rapper, billions of views on YouTube. He got busted with the 9 Trey blood gang, which was a gang that was started out of prison. Tekashi rolled over on his co-defendants. So last year I did a playlist of things like what is a plea bargain, what is a snitch jacket, to explain all of the different developments, because my case was a conspiracy, RICO, continuous criminal enterprise case, and Tekashi's case, very similar. The prosecutors try and get the co-defendants to turn against each other, and there's a theory, the domino theory, that once one goes, they'll all go. In Sammy the Bull's case, all 57 co-defendants testified, agreed to cooperate with the police. In my case, I had over 100 co-defendants, only 4 agreed to cooperate with the police. So we had every dirty trick in the book thrown at us by the prosecutors and detectives to try and get people to cooperate. So in the description box below this video is my playlist to all of the Tekashi 6ix9ine videos that I did last year when this first went down. Now finally, Tekashi is up in court testifying. The prosecutor hopes that people, once they know they've got witnesses against them, people won't go to trial. Going to trial costs the state money. Justice system is a business model. They don't want to spend that money. They want to scare the living daylights out of you, so you'll sign a plea bargain and not go to trial. In Arizona, 98% of the prisoners sign plea bargains. And that's not snitching. That just means you sign an agreement whereby you'll accept such a sentence or such a sentencing range, and you've got to get up in court and say to the judge, I committed such and such a crime. So the prosecutor, as they get more witnesses against you, the sentencing range rises. So as the 4 witnesses slowly manifested against me over a 2-year period I was fighting my case, my lawyer said, right, now they've got this witness against you, that adds another year or 2 years onto your sentencing range. Now they've got another one, this adds another year or so onto your sentencing range. So by the end of that 2 years, there were 4 witnesses against me. And in the end, I signed the plea bargain and I was sentenced to 9.5 years for my ecstasy trafficking ring. As a first-time non-violent drug offender who was not a US citizen, I had to serve just under 6, and I consider myself lucky. And that was because my parents came up with money to hire a proper lawyer. If you've got no money and you've got a public defender, heaven help you. They're called public pretenders in the justice system. So with Tekashi, this now has actually got to the stage where some of the co-defendants have refused to sign plea bargains, so it's going to trial. Heaven help you if you go to trial and lose. They will give you the super maximum aggravated sentence just to make an example out of other people, not to go to trial, not to make the state spend that money. So we're going to go over now what Tekashi has been saying at his first day at the trial. So the trial is against 2 men who allegedly kidnapped, robbed and pistol whipped him last year. Anthony Harv Ellison and Ajamaya Nuke Mack, 2 members of the 9 Trey blood gang who refused to accept plea deals. In my case, one of the co-defendants who agreed to testify was a female from Liverpool, England, and the prosecutor said to my attorney that if she did indeed testify against me, they were going to have to get a translator into the court to translate her Liverpudlian Scouse accent so that the Americans could understand it. But it never got to that because I did agree to a plea bargain. So during day 1 in the court in Manhattan, the lawyers for Harv and Nuke made points about the lack of evidence provided against them. Now, when there is hardly any evidence against you, witnesses can still put you away for a very long time, even with no physical evidence. Prosecutors got all of the money in the world to procure witnesses, including false witnesses, I've written a book, Unmaking a Murderer, on the 10 methods prosecutors use to frame innocent people. And one of the methods they used on Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey was to procure false witnesses. With my friend T-Bone, they said he took $20 off a countertop in a shop, and they gave him 13 years for that. They found him guilty. No evidence whatsoever he'd done it, just the testimony of one female who they had rewarded in other ways to give that testimony. Often if someone's busted for something, they'll give a testimony against someone else so they can get a lesser sentence. So, here's a look now at what actually happened in the court. And I want to really credit Inner City Press on Twitter, so that's at Inner City Press, because this journalist was in there and he was tweeting out on his Twitter feed everything that was going on in the courtroom. So, Your Honour, the government calls Daniel Hernandez. He's in prison blues. Deputy Smallman just swore him in. So Daniel Hernandez is the real name for Tekashi 6ix9ine. Were you a member of a gang? Yes, 9 Trey Bloods. What sort of things did 9 Trey do? Robberies, assaults, drugs. Do you recognise anyone in court? Anthony Ellison has a grey suit on. Mac has a brown suit on. Where'd you go to school? Campos Middle School, Legacy High School. Did you work? I started working at 13. My first job was at Youth Corps for about 2 months. Didn't make a lot, so bussed tables with my brother. Then grocery store, delivery boy, 2 years. I landed another busboy job. Then I became a rapper. Peter Rogers came into the store I worked in September 2014 to buy tea and peanuts, asked me if I rapped, said you look cool. I made more like rock and roll rap. Toured in Bratislava, Slovakia, Moscow. For all those shows, I made about $2,000 profit. I did it just for the experience. It changed in September 2017. Filmed a music video in Bed-Stuy, 370 Madison. So he does this music video that blows up on YouTube, hundreds of millions, if not billions of views. It was called Gummo, G-U-M-M-O. I'd signed a 20% management deal, Seiko Billy. Billy is 9 Trey, so I asked him to provide members for the video. I met him at the studio in Williamsburg. Brought Hennessy, and at 370 Madison I met Shotty. So Shotty, one of the co-defendants in this case. Shotty was yelling out in court, you know, we don't break weak kind of stuff, right in front of the judge. It's never a good idea to be yelling in the courtroom in front of the judge, just don't do it. We with you, little homie, Shotty said. Also brought a bunch of red bandanas, met Pablo. Shotty is Cafano Jordan. So the government played a song loud. 6ix9ine was pointing out all the guns in it, linking one to Shotty. Is that a real gun? Yes. What is a drum? You add it to a gun. It carries an extra clip. Mr. Hernandez, what is Gummo about? It's a diss song towards like somebody I don't get along with. So he testified that Trippie Redd was part of the 5'9" Brims. Did there come a time that Gummo was released on the internet? Yes, it went viral, meaning people shared it. I just put it up on YouTube and said, whatever happens, happens. It's amazing how a YouTube video could just launch a career like this. How did Kuda come about? I knew I had a formula to repeat it. The gang, what is the word for it? Imagine I would say promote it. You know what I'm trying to say? That's what people like. Before I changed my style of rap, I liked this kid called Kuda. I thought he was talented, so I named the song after him. Kuda was filmed in Brooklyn, intersection of Fulton Avenue and Utica near Smurf Village. It is 9 Trey members who live there. So in the court then they played some of the video. 6ix9ine started testifying about the big homie in Smurf Village. If you replace N-word with people, that's what I meant. No one understood how rainbow hair could be with the Bloods. 50 means to be on point, to be aware. How did you come up with drafting those lyrics? Based on your time with 9 Trey, did you learn some of their lingo? Come again? Lingo. Then the jurors had their mid-afternoon break. And when they came back, when did you become a member of 9 Trey? November 2017. Were you initiated? No, you had to shoot your 31. You had to do work like cutting someone's face to be initiated. Mr. Hernandez, but you were not initiated, right? Right, I just had to keep making hits and giving financial support to the gang, equipping with guns, like so they could buy guns. So basically he wanted the tough persona to sell records, to look like one of these G's. Look at Rick Ross, fake gangster, he used to be a prison guard. Stole Freeway Ricky Ross's name. Freeway Ricky Ross, big time coke dealer out of the West Coast. I've interviewed him for my upcoming book. We Are Being Lied to, The War on Drugs. It's about 4 different people and he's one of them. So Tekashi's buying the gang image and they're bleeding him money and buying guns. What did you get from 9 Trey? I would say my career, credibility, protection, all of the above. Treyway was something that we could market. Could you demonstrate the handshake? I need 2 people, but... So he shook hands with himself. Who taught you that? I'm doing it with Shotty a lot. The 9 with your index finger and your thumb. Nuke taught me. We show up at a strip club in Brooklyn. Angel strip club. I don't want to be quoted. I wasn't making the sign right. He pulled me to the side. Yo, like, if you're going to be 9 Trey, you have to make the sign right. Mr. Hernandez, did you ever see Mr. Ellison make the sign? Yes. So they're showing videos as well, and the gang members are throwing out signs in these videos. If you could identify the people in the photograph? I don't know the guy in the LA Heat. And what is Mel Murdo wearing? Cincinnati Reds. He's the godfather of the 9 Trey Bloods. Does 9 Trey have a leadership structure? Yes, there was a street line up and a prison line up. How did the prison line up work? My understanding is that with the prison line up, there was a higher up to get anything sanctioned on the street. Then there was an objection. 6ix9ine says he spoke to Frank White and Magoo. They could say who had ranking and who didn't. Turning to the street lineup were the ranks, there was a Godfather, Twins, 5-star General. Who occupied the positions? Mel Murder was the Godfather, right under was Shotty. Seiko Billy was a 5-star. So the judge now called a stopping point. Then it continued. Shotty told me if you take care of the people behind the wall, they'll take care of you. And then lunch was ordered for the jurors to save time for tomorrow. And that's how it ended on day 1 of the testimony. Of course, Tekashi's family didn't show up. He's turned informant now. In Arizona, it was KOS for snitches and chomos, kill on sight. These gangs these days will take it out on your family members, so he's probably going to end up in witness protection. Yeah, he can dump the rainbow hair, but he's got this big 6ix9ine tattoo on his face. It's going to be quite tricky for him to lay low. God knows how he's going to cope with his musical career, how he's going to get his music out from there on out. And if he's putting people away for big sentences, then retribution could definitely come down on his family members, girlfriend, all those people. Now their lives are on the line. So if you want to watch the rest of my Tekashi videos, go into the description box below the video. There's a playlist. Latest Epstein news was that a federal judge has denied the victims' rights and ordered that the original plea bargain whereby Maxwell, Jean-Luc Brunel and the other co-conspirators cannot be prosecuted in the federal court system. So now it's up to the state court system. In America there are 3 branches of law: federal law, state law, and you've got the Supreme Court. So it's now up to the states such as New York, Florida, to pursue this, and maybe even the UK authorities and the French authorities against Jean-Luc Brunel. Absolute blow in the face for the victims. That was announced a couple of days ago, and you know, complete travesty of justice. Anyone else who victims would allege have done these things, police would be SWAT team raiding them right now. But massive cover up for the elites coming down from this judge's ruling. That is the US federal court. So thanks so much to all the new subscribers. Thanks so much to everyone who's donated to the channel. We had a really strong month. We're running up to almost 300,000 subs right now. Subscription box is in the corner of this video, the little icon. Subscribe, doesn't cost anything. Appreciate all of your love and support around the world. And my true crime podcast is coming on strong every week, doing a 2-hour interview with someone that's hard-hitting story that's involved in true crime. So playlist for that is in the description box below this video as well. Take care from there. Cheers from London.